Hey everyone, welcome to another Power Monkey podcast. On today's episode, Chad and I interview Sam Dancer. Sam is an incredible athlete. He was a collegiate football player who moved on to competing at a very, very high level within the CrossFit community. Has competed as an individual at the CrossFit Games, as well as competed and finished up on the podium as part of a team. He's since transitioned. He's still competing now, but spending a lot more time running his gym in Quincy, Illinois, as well as running a nonprofit to help with some special needs athletes. We go into some discussions about what that nonprofit is all about, what it's like to run a gym within the COVID situation that's going on, some of his hopes and dreams in terms of how we can potentially work together a little bit more to create a more well society through fitness. And I think you guys are going to fall in love with Sam. He's a really lovable guy. I think from his social media, he comes off as someone who's incredibly authentic. And if you ever meet him in person, you'll feel that same way. And I hope you guys enjoy this episode. All right. Well, Sam, man, thanks for taking the time to jump on with Chad and I, and really appreciate you having on the podcast. I know you probably have a ton going on, and really appreciate you taking time.
We were talking just before the show how much more of a pleasure these podcasts have ended up being. So I agree with you, Dave. I really enjoy doing these, and especially with you two guys, I'm really looking forward to this. So thanks for having me.
Of course. So where are you stationed right now? And you seem to be like you and Jen both kind of traveling nomads quite a bit of the year.
We're gypsy souls, man. But
where are you stationed?
Our home base is in Quincy, Illinois. It's right on the border of Missouri. So it's kind of interesting culture. But we've been back home for a couple months now. We had been traveling around and living, well, at that time, full time out of our van, and just kind of just buzzing around, working out, hanging out, meeting new people, camping. But with the pregnancy, we're staying put for a little bit, really focused, just like training. You know, like if you're traveling a lot, like you're not going to be able to get yourself dialed in. So we wanted to make sure we got Jen dialed in, and it's been really remarkable how close, say maybe training for the CrossFit Games is comparatively to growing a child. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to really kind of, even though we love being mobile and love moving around, and that's something we're very passionate about, we've found a new passion in the growing of this baby. So we're both really motivated to stay still for a little bit and just focus on this for a while, and our business, obviously. So
right. That's your other baby. I mean, you have Jen's pregnant right now, and then you have the gym as well. So kind of curious. I mean, I do want to talk a little bit about Jen and the baby, maybe a little bit into this, but you had left the gym for a considerable amount of time. How is it kind of leaving a gym in someone else's hands and being on the road? And now how is it being back, especially with, obviously the challenges that go along with pandemic going on and being a gym owner at the same time?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm a unique case. Since nearly the first year of the 8 years that we've been in business, I've been traveling a lot. So my members aren't really used to me being there for extended amounts of time. This has probably been some of the longest time we've been in our gym in the past 8 years. It really shows too. So it's really important for us to be here, but also, it's important for us. We have other obligations and things that we love to do, and that we've been doing. Such I coach seminars. I've been doing that for almost 8 years. Jenny mostly, and I run a non-for-profit that keeps us traveling. I'm competing, that keeps me traveling. I'm training, that keeps me traveling. So they're not used to really having I or Jenny around very consistently. But when we are around, it's really nice. We help kind of just re-embed that culture that we're looking to kind of create. Not that it doesn't sustain, because like you said, who are the hands that we're leaving it in? and it's people who have been part of our culture for the past 8 years. So they're very trusted people, and they're people that have very similar moral, ethical, philosophical, physical, spiritual beliefs that we have. So again, I think we've done a really good job, even though we've been absent very frequently. We've done a good job at creating a really badass culture in the middle of nowhere in good old Quincy, Illinois. So like when we do leave, it resonates and it sticks, and when we come back, we're very, very pleased with how well they've done it. But we're looking at hiring new staff, and we've had, like I said, we've had people with us for the past 8 years, and they do a really, really good job. So to answer your question, it's not that difficult for me to leave because I'm so trained in moving around all the time. So the hardest thing for me was to stop doing the programming, but I'm back to doing that again. It just, in my mind, it made more sense when I'm gone to have someone who's actually there writing it. And that was the hardest thing for me to give up. Mm-hmm. But I knew it was the right thing to do because like, I'm not with these people. I'm not doing the same program, that they're doing when I'm away. When I'm home, I do the exact same thing that they're doing. So I feel what they're feeling. I'm doing the reps that they're doing. I can empathize more with how they feel, and I can make the necessary adjustments to ensure that we're giving our members something that is sustainable and makes them feel better than feel more tired or feel worse. So, but yeah. And then I guess your other question kind of like, I guess, was more or less, what's business like kind of, I think, during the whole COVID thing. And I don't remember exactly what your question was, but it was something just the COVIDness.
Right. I mean, as a business owner, you're coming back into the situation. You've been on the road. Now you're back home. Have you been able to function and feel like you're still able to kind of sustain what you've built?
Yeah, we had the best month of sales that we've ever had in 8 years of business. So
amazing. Wow.
I think there's been a massive awakening that has been a result of, we'll just call it COVID, no matter what, maybe our feelings are about it.
An awakening in the sense that health and wellness matter?
Yep.
What do you...
I've never seen anything like it. In all my years of being in business, I've never seen such an influctuation of motivated individuals that are ready to make grand changes in their lives. I think because they got scared, because all the healthy people right now are fine. They're whistling. They're like, nothing's changed. They're fearless. And then all the sick people are scared to death. So I think you have people who are maybe kind of borderline sick, or people who are not at ease, or just don't feel good about where, or confident about where their maybe immune system is, and how robust they are, and how healthy they are. So, like I said, huge increase of people coming to the gym. I think we added well over 20 people our first week back, and that's still rising. And then like retaining people too. Like a lot of times in the past, we would have a difficult time with retention. Like it just wouldn't, like people maybe, they weren't sick enough yet. Like it wasn't bad enough yet for them to have to join the gym. And so you get people kind of falling off because it's hard work, like, as you guys know, like staying healthy, staying strong, maintaining performance, though, like these things are not easy, but they're very well worth it. And all of us know that, but these people in the past seem to not really be motivated to stay. And so we had a problem with retention. And right now, like nobody's going anywhere. Like these people have very quickly made themselves part of the culture of our family. And I've never seen anything like it. So I'm happy to be back open. Like I'm never going to close my gosh dang doors again. I'll tell you that. Like we're essential more than anyone has ever, like, during this whole time, like throughout all this, like two things I feel like that weren't addressed enough, and it was the children, and it was why are we sick? Why are so many people getting sick? Like, and addressing a huge health crisis. It's like, this isn't necessarily, in my opinion, we call it all kinds of crises and all sorts of pandemics, but really, in my opinion, this is just a global health crisis, and we need to be addressing, some things physically, some things spiritually. Like, wellness is a multitude of things. Health and wellness are a multitude of things. It's not just, one thing, but we're not talking about the holistic side of wellness. Like, I feel like that's not coming up enough. It's definitely in people's heads because they're running into my gym right now to get well. But I really feel like we've neglected talking about and getting people not worried, but taking their health and wellness seriously. And like I said, the other thing that we've really neglected this whole time are the children. Like, now that school's coming around, we're all like, even though I don't have children yet, I see it happening right before our eyes. No one's once brought up these guys, and now that we're getting back into school, we're rushing, and even the social aspect of things for children has really been neglected. So that's my little COVID rant.
Oh, for sure. There's a lot to rant about on that. That's definitely for sure. And the thing with that is, like you say, the kids, my daughter will be in 5th grade, and they've changed their plans on what they're going to do at least 5 times that I know of, since summer started, and, things are continually changing. So guaranteed they don't 100% know what they're going to do. But at this point where I'm at here in Texas, they're saying that it's optional, whether the kids go back or not. So it's up to us whether we, send her back to school or whether we keep her here at home, and we can choose to do that for the first 9 weeks.
If they have to do that for liability purposes too.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I mean, there's got to be all kind of fears and stuff in that regard. So I think, some of it is them covering themselves, and some of it is just, none of us really completely knowing what's going on. But I certainly agree with you, Sam, in that, a lot of this is a health crisis, and that's not to say that one of us couldn't get it, and that it could knock us down a little bit. But, if you're in fitness, if you're trying to be healthy, if you're working out on a regular basis, in the end, you have a better chance. You have a better chance for it not to ever settle in, and you have a better chance to recover.
From what I've seen, because we've known a handful of people who have had it, even people within, not my cousin's grandpa, sister got it. I'm talking like people within my circle have had it. And from my own data collection, from being my own scientist and being an observer, it seems to me that an asymptomatic carrier is a healthy person. So someone who's contracted the virus and doesn't really even know that they have anything going on, like that, from what I've seen, that is a healthy individual. They can carry the virus no problem. And on the other hand, the people who get the sniffles and the people who maybe have a tough time, they're really tired and they're very fatigued. Maybe they're coming down with some like flu-ish or cold-like type symptoms and being achy. Like, the people that I know that have had it like that, I don't know anyone who's died or been like severely hospitalized or anything like that. So I've seen a couple cases on both sides of healthy individuals who tested positive, and you wouldn't be able to tell that they're any different. And then a couple people who've tested positive and they carry some symptoms. And then when I compare these data points, these people over here, from what I've observed, the healthy people that get it are fine, and the people that aren't as healthy don't do as well. Again, I haven't seen anyone be severely severely come down with it or be hospitalized. That's probably because I don't know very many sick people. yeah, so that's just from, again,
Right.
my observation. I'm sure everyone, everyone's got something to say about it.
Well, I think there's an important point that you're bringing up, Sam, and something that probably everyone can agree upon is just putting more emphasis on being proactive about your health rather than always being reactionary once something happens. And we try to do that within our own fitness industry and within our own specific movements, and trying to avoid injury and trying to be more proactive with accessory work and things like that so that we can prevent injury from happening. But this is just in terms of wellness in general. How can we kind of prepare ourselves for a virus, the cold, the flu, COVID, whatever it might be. And it comes to being more proactive about the way you sleep, the way you fuel yourself through diet, and the way you train. And I think all of us can agree, right? I think we can all agree that there is a really critical point of, if we can continue to get more people to understand the importance of all of these factors of leading a healthier lifestyle in general, it's going to put us all in a better place, whatever might come in our way, whatever kind of virus, we're going to be better suited to be able to handle it. So I think all of us can kind of agree on that aspect of it.
That's funny. Right before we were getting on, I was like, over here just kind of problem solving, like what's going to be the best way for us to get back to normal? I want that. Like, I really want that. Because I can get back to normal for me. Like, I've found myself multiple occasions, very often, going about my day without even knowing or recognizing or seeing that COVID is even a problem anymore. I've been able to create that reality for myself. But there are times, every once in a while, sometimes I do have to go to the grocery store. Sometimes I do get in my vehicle, and you see you see that, gosh, people are very afraid. And people are very sick. And I was like, what is the best way to get back to normal the fastest? Even though, again, I feel like I can live pretty normally within my reality, but still there's times I have to go into other aspects of our reality that we all share. And you see it at the grocery stores or whatever. And but my solution, I was just like, we just need to get people healthy. We just gotta keep putting out educational shit and helping people. We just need to stay on track. It's the things the three of us have been doing. We just need to keep doing our work. We need to make sure that we're doing our work as and we're studying. We're being students, right? We're continuing to gather new information and be innovative so that we can find greater solutions to wellness related issues. We need to continue that. We need to continue teaching and speaking and using our voices and because the way we're not doing a great job teaching people, with this pregnancy, I'm blown away. I probably read 10 pregnancy books. I feel like I deserve a goddamn PhD in something because I've put in so many gosh dang hours educating myself on everything that I need to know from. I haven't gotten much past maybe life looks like after 8 weeks. Everything I've been worried about so far has been prenatal and about 8 weeks post delivery. I haven't got much further than that in my studies, but I've put a lot of time in, and I've been blown away how remarkably similar, like I mentioned, it is growing and caring for a child, how similar it is to training or growing muscles or it blows my mind. But yeah, man, another rant, but we just got to continue doing our work and being students and being teachers and using our voices and helping educating people on how to feel better, how to be well. And it's a lot of things, but yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, each situation in life is very similar. I mean, I'm always able to relate any struggle that I'm going through on a daily basis
Yeah.
to what I went through in training, and it certainly helps you as an athlete, as a someone that's in fitness and you're trying to be healthy. It's very relatable and very helpful to get through those situations, not only physically, not only because I'm physically stronger and healthier, but mentally and emotionally and everything else. And you talk about the importance of us continuing and doing what we're doing and sharing. And a big part of that these days, of course, is social media. And we wanted to kind of dig into that a little bit with you because you do have a large following. And I feel like, again, this is not always the case because we don't always perceive things correctly or don't even know what's going on. But from my perspective, maybe a handful of years ago now, it seemed like you kind of blew onto the scene, like you just exploded onto the scene. And, now I think you have somewhere around 200,000 followers on Instagram. And I know that's not, the most important thing and all that stuff, but it does mean something. It is meaningful in a way. And so from my perspective, you talk about wanting to teach people, wanting to put out content. So was it purposeful to you for your post to help you grow a following, for what you were doing to help you grow a following? Because I got to be honest, for me, initially it wasn't, but as a business owner and someone that's trying to put out content, someone that's also trying to make money off of coaching online and make money off of coaching seminars and Power Monkey Camp and stuff like that, I do have to worry about trying to direct things in a way that will help me grow on Instagram, for example, and Facebook. So was it your intent to do that, or did you initially or throughout this whole time just kind of grow organically? You have such a welcoming attitude. You're a good looking guy. You're very strong. You can do impressive things athletically. So people are kind of drawn to you. Was that a natural thing, or did you work for that growing?
That's a great question. It was very organic. I never wanted really to be like well known or anything. Like the idea of having any level of fame whatsoever was never really interesting to me. The only thing I knew I wanted to be a professional football player. I wanted to be a professional athlete is what I wanted to be. That's all. Yeah. That's all I could never think about, like growing up and such. It was never to be, rich or to be famous, or yeah, it was to be a professional athlete for the longest times. Now, granted, things have changed since I was 22 or 23, and I still wanted that, and I got that through this crazy sport, CrossFit. And still have it, still been enjoying that, but there's definitely other things that I'm passionate about, and I think all that I've ever really done is shared my passion on social media, and I always tell people that's the greatest way to grow a following, and whether I'm talking about that in the context of social media or a business or both. Or selling clothing or whatever it is. I really, truly think when you're just living your passion and doing what it is that makes you just like it, you would do it all day for free, regardless of, that's my whole life. I've only ever done that. And I've just done what makes me feel really happy and really full. And makes me like, it just makes me want to wake up. I do those things. I try to find those things that I can barely go to sleep. I'm so excited for the next morning. And I've done that in every aspect of my life. And the result of it happened to be, getting a fairly large following. And like you said, I've done some pretty things that blow my mind in regards to feats of strength. I've maybe said some funny things. I've probably wore some funny clothes, and I've been kind of flamboyant and really just being my authentic self. I never really was like doing anything to, again, like get people's attention. But again, like I said, when you're just following your passion and you're being your authentic self, that I think is appealing to people, and they're attracted to it and they want more of it. And that led to me eventually, opening a gym. It led to me eventually, doing seminars. It led to me eventually getting to compete in CrossFit. It led to me marrying my wife. It led to making a child. It's led me everywhere. Yeah. And I never wanted, and for a while, Chad, I'm glad you kind of brought that up too. For a while, I didn't really know what to do with it because it happened so fast. Because again, it wasn't really a desire of mine to have that. So it was really awkward at first, like people wanting to maybe take a picture with me or wanting an autograph or something. Like I didn't feel worthy of it, and I didn't feel like I deserved that, and I didn't feel like there was any reason for someone to think that I was special or more special than them. So it took me a while to learn how to handle it, but I ended up seeing this film on Bill Murray and how he basically just like he just shows up for people, dude. And that's the only way I can really put it. He just like when people are excited to see him, like he kind of feeds into it, and he plays along, and he makes it like he understands how people view him. And even though I might not view myself that way, that sounds kind of maybe bad. Like I love myself and I care about myself, but I don't see myself as like this famous, like you should want a picture with me, like type of, I don't see myself like that at all. And I don't think Bill did either, but he recognized how people saw him, and he decided that, wow, I have an opportunity to bring light to and make people so stinking happy. And yeah, although I don't feel like I've ever been like a dick to anybody, but now I want to hang out and talk to people. Like before I was just like kind of creeped out, like that someone wanted like, ooh, okay, like you, like I'll still do the pictures and sign the stuff and say hi and give the hugs. But now I just embrace that a little bit more, and I stick around. I chat with people. I pour into them a little bit more. So I've kind of changed my attitude around it, because I figured, I'm like, wow, I got all these people that follow me. I might as well like kind of do some good with this and share my passion. I feel is a great thing for anyone to do. And I try to share information. I try to share my experiences that have helped kind of shape me and allowed me to overcome things and get to where I can, get to where I'm at. Like, I feel like I'm at a pretty good place. I've worked really, really hard I've worked really hard following my passion. And it's allowed me to have a business that's been in business for 8 years, or to have this non-for-profit, or to have, again, all the things I keep referencing, to have a child, or to have a wife, or to be competing professionally. So that was a good question, Chad. Social media is weird, dude. It's so weird. Like it trips me out, and I get really bummed out about it sometimes. I'm like, why do I do this? Like, and I have to always remind myself, I'm like, dude, you can do good with this. Like, I know it seems like, and that's where kind of the podcast came up. I'm like, I can't just be posting pictures anymore. I can't do it. I have this following. I feel like I need to, it is like an obligation almost to do some good with it. Like 200,000 people, I think that is a lot of people. And if I can help guide them to living a healthier, happier, more well life with themselves or in their relationships with their spouses or with their children, or how they train to feel good, or how they treat their neighbor, or how they treat the environment, or whatever it may be. Like I need to do that. I need to do that. I want to do that. I don't, when I say that I feel that pressure and that obligation, it's not a negative thing. I genuinely want and need at the same time. It's a full circle there. I do want to do it, and I should do it. Yeah, cool question.
Yeah. You've recognized what you can do with the following, and really cool, all the things that you're doing with it. But, at some point, you become, or for me anyway, and I think other people too, probably you as well, you become very, very appreciative of the following that you have. It's almost like, one person that follows you, if you were to meet them face to face and talk to them, it's like, genuinely, thank you so much for following me. Yes, I've got 199.99 other thousand followers, but thank you so much for following me. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. And I truly mean that for anyone that follows me and that I have the opportunity to share any information with. It's very appreciative that they follow, that they listen in, and that they want to hear what I have to say, and hopefully that it helps them. And you, Sam, I know that you're helping a lot of people, especially the way that you approach things, your attitude, and it's just very, very enlightening. Now, talking about social media before we get off that topic, just looking on your page and doing a little research for this recording, notice that you posted, I think this was last week sometime, about, people giving excuses. And you were basically just saying like, hey, it's easy to think that I was just automatically fit. I just stumbled upon this fitness thing, and I was already really good. I was already really strong. And you talked about, you like listed off a number of difficulties that you've had in your life, and that you've had to work hard for the fitness that you have. You had to work hard to be able to play college football and all those things. Can you talk about that post a little bit and what really sparked you? Because every now and then I'll make a post that is, and I'm not saying it's a rant, but it's rant-like, right? I'll make a post out of something that touched me or that bothered me a little bit. One person might have said something annoying in class or something, and it makes me post something that's directed towards them, but everyone else gets to see it. So was that the case for you, or what was your reason for posting that day?
Kinda, but I have to be honest, it was 100% my wife. She was like, I think something very similar to the post, but she's just like, you should talk more about that. Like, let people know more about the things that you've had to overcome, or the things that you've had to do to get to where you're at. But being an owner of a gym, I hear very frequently why people can't do stuff. I mean, very, very frequently. So frequently that I have to really work on how I react to it, because it's so frequent. I mean, it's every single day. There's some sort of I can't, or, and then they give you the reason. And so, yeah, it takes a lot of work to be compassionate, respond compassionately towards that, because my initial gut reaction to when someone starts talking like that is just rage. I just want to want to choke slam you.
Me as well.
And I've never choke slammed anyone in my life. So even though that thought has come through, I continue just breathing through it, and I come up with what's a little bit more compassionate than that. But yeah, Jenny was the one who kind of pushed me to make it. And, but it's because of that. It's because of how frequently we just hear all the reasons that, people can't do this and they can't do that. And so, yeah, and I don't ever think that way, which is so, it's really weird for me to write that stuff out, because I never, ever, 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 I never really get super sorry for myself. And I have, but it's not a very frequent thing. I don't if you were to ask me, Chad, like, hey, Sam, how's your life been? I would tell you it's been amazing. Like, it's been fantastic. It has been it's the greatest blessing ever. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be in here and being alive and conscious. It blows my mind every single day, and I'm so happy for it. So I wouldn't ever but I do have those things. So I could very well respond to, if you ask the question, hey, Sam, how's your life been? Well, Chad, how long you got? Like, I've been thrown off a scooter. I've been hit by a car. I've been, I almost drowned. I've died I feel like I've, had near-death experience a couple times, and I could just it's a total mindset thing, man. And it's really, really important, like, to focus on the positive side of like everything, on the brighter side of everything. I am constantly reminded of how important that is, because every time I act like an asshole, for instance, I got a great one just recently. My wallet got stolen. Gosh dang it, my wallet got stolen. And how many times have your wallet or your phone's gotten stolen? Especially, that's a total dude thing. And then your wife is like, it's upstairs on the dresser. Right. But yeah, my wallet got stolen. And I had this stupid, horrible attitude about losing my wallet for an hour or two. And I find the wallet. And it just goes to show you what was the point of inducing that much stress? And if you've ever worn like a Whoop strap or anything, then you get to see the hard data, the right in front of your face, that when you react that way and don't get yourself back down to homeostasis, like a healthy kind of carefree, positive mindset, and you let that linger and you let it become, a mood, and then that mood becomes an attitude, and then you drive yourself into sickness is what you really do. You end up having a stress response to it, and if you're chronically stressed, you're going to get sick, get cancer, and die. And yeah, and I'm reminded constantly there is no point for me to just dwell on some shit like that. Like, you need to focus on the positive, and it's just really, and I try to do that. I fail quite often, probably, but again, I try to focus on the positive side of things, the brighter side of things. And then again, like I said, if you were to ask me a question, how my life is going, I would tell you all the good things, because that's what I focus on, and that's how I truly feel. But I have a big list of really crappy things that have happened to me. And it's fun. After I wrote that too, I'm like, damn, now that I'm thinking about it, and it's now that I'm thinking about it, right, that I'm wasting the time thinking about these. I kept thinking of more crap. It kept coming up, and I could keep going. I could keep going, but that was just the things that kind of popped into my head. So it's just, if there's anything I have to say about all that, it's just your mindset, man. You just got to stay positive. You got to focus on, and even when crappy things happen, you need to breathe into it. And I've really been working, me and Jenny both, we've really been working on how we react. We don't even want to give things that much of our power. We're trying to get it dialed in to the point that we know better than to waste our energy on a reaction that was so not creative. You've got that energy, why not use it creatively and let it motivate you into coming up with a solution or making a plan or just sharing with yourself in a dialogue, and how we're not going to let that happen again or something like that. And just like be in communion with yourself and talk to yourself about positively how you're going to learn from this or something like that. So, yeah, man, stay positive.
Well, speaking about positivity and I mean, one of the things that I get across from having met you and then connecting that to your social media is authenticity. You are exactly the same person in person that you portray on your social media. And that's amazing to see, you know, that everything that comes through is who you really are. And you being as positive as you are rubs off on the people that you're around. And one of the things that I wanted to kind of touch on, because I think it's clear from your having spoken to you and also from how you present it on social media, is the work that you do with special needs, and specifically your relationship with James. And I would love for you to be able to kind of just let our listeners know a little bit of why that's important to you and what role that plays in your life, and also what kind of guy James is, because I want to hear a little bit more about him personally.
Good. I have a great story for you then that will kind of set the tone for why I think what we do is so important, and it's going to be very difficult not to cry. This is a crazy story, dude. And why James is so special, and why we do the things that we do for the special needs community. So about like 6 years ago, I met James. He came in and kind of played soccer, and we played around the gym for a little bit. We fell in love with the guy right away, decided that we needed to get him in more frequently so he could start training. We end up training, maybe 3 times a week or something like that. So one day
before you continue, can you just let people know James has Down syndrome? Is that correct? And
low functioning.
Okay.
He has Down syndrome.
Okay.
And he's 32 years old. I hate doing this, but I really dislike doing this. But he acts like probably a 10-year-old. He gets, like, when he hangs out with that age people, he's like really in a good groove. Like, he really enjoys himself. He loves to play. Like, so if you can imagine the spirit of of around that age, that playfulness, and but still very can communicate well, and but on this, in regard to the spectrum, he is low functioning, and which makes me laugh because he's got it going on better than we do in so many categories. So we're walking sled one day, and granted, and let me say this too, I've definitely worked on myself quite a bit, but what you see right now is very similar, is a very similar essence to what I've been my entire life. So still the same dude for the most part, but I've cleaned some things up. So we're walking down the sidewalk, pulling sled, and these kids hang out the window and yell, "You effing retard." And like driving by super slow, like, call James retarded. I am full of rage. I'm like, "James, you stay right here. I'm going to go get those boys." And he's just like, I look back at him like, and he's fine. I'm visibly upset. Like, I'm ready to let these boys know what's up. And like, totally could have potentially caught him too. They're up at like a stop sign, and they didn't look back after they drove by, and would have never anticipated me being there at their window. But I look down at James and see that he's fine. He's fine. He's not upset one bit. He's like, telling me to, like, it's okay, and like to settle down. And he gets it. He knows what happened. Like, he understands the words. And it's funny, sometimes when he even thinks that someone, might be making fun of Down syndrome, or being special, he'll be like, "Hey, that's not funny." So he understands it. Like, even though I say he's lower function, I wanted to say that he's low functioning just so people understood within the spectrum how beautiful this is. Like, if this is a low functioning young man with Down syndrome, how amazing these guys are. But he didn't react, and he was totally fine. And what I realized is that if those guys came back around, I would want to hurt them, and James would shake their hand. James would have introduced himself. James would have gave them a hug. James would have not apologized. James would have accepted them even without an apology. That is how cool James is. And that changed my heart forever. Right there on that, that moment, I'm like, holy crap, I'm a new person. I am a brand new person. And it is because of a realization that I've had from this man. And it's changed my life completely. And that's what sparked, how do I get this guy and people like him in front of more people? How do I get more people hanging out with families that have a special need, such as James? I need more people to be changed. Like I was just changed. Again, like I said, I was a completely different, even though my essence, Sam Dancer, still there, I was a new person. And my life had, even though I'd never been in a fight, I'd never attacked anybody in my life. That was probably some of the most angry I've ever been in my life was, and probably too, because I felt kind of James' protector a little bit. I was responsible for him. His parents left him with me. He needs somebody to kind of hang out with him. So, and I thought they hurt him, and they didn't. You can't take it from James. You can't take his power away. And he loves you no matter what. Two things that blew my mind. You can, and he's pretty playful, but all things considered, you can't take this kid's power away. And especially now you see it on social media, how easily people are triggered, right? Like me, I was so triggered into wanting to fight those people and let them know that they because I thought they hurt him, but they didn't, because he doesn't let people do that, because he's, again, like I said, he's got things going on. He's way more evolved. He's got all the cool stuff that we could have, but we're almost too, we have I don't know what he's got that's missing that makes it such a gift. But I don't know if it's less ego or but he still has identity, so he still recognizes himself and knows himself. So it's not that. And I haven't spent a ton of time, really thinking about, what it is that is filtering, or what makes this possible. With no no one's really shown him that, because we all fail at it. We can't, we suck at it. So it's just it's the part of the gift. It's you almost I don't get it, dude. It's incredible, but I've learned so much from it. And I've learned that we can embody these very similar, I call him James Jesus Foster. This might be a little blasphemous to some degree, but James is, not that Jesus isn't real or anything, but he's like one walking around. You get to see it in front of your face, in real life, and not just read about it or just feel it, but you get to see what it's like to be pure and to not be so judgmental, and to not again, like I said, give your power away, because like we talked about, people just getting triggered, and as soon as they get triggered, that's when I was talking about this too. It gets you into a mood, and then your mood turns into an attitude, and then you just turn into this completely toxic, sick individual. He doesn't do that. So
yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I've learned a lot.
It's incredibly powerful too. I think especially right now with the lack of kind of empathy and conversation that's had between people, the ability to be faced with something that could be looked at as an extreme, like react like you would. I think most people in that situation would react with rage. And to be able to just step back and say, well, why are those kids acting that way? Like, what is making them react and say those things? And James is saying, maybe I can help them understand. Maybe I can help them understand by going and shaking their hand and not letting it affect me in the way that it's affecting you. And that's incredibly powerful. I think in a lot of ways, you're right that he probably has something that we all can definitely learn from in terms of our interactions with each other.
Yes. And that's why we started our non-for-profit. And that's why we go do our fundraising events where, we're getting these families and these individuals in front of people within the fitness community. Because again, another group of people who I think can change the world. I think like what CrossFit has done and all the little armies of fitness that it's instilled in all over the country are some of the greatest catalysts that I think we have available for ourselves in regards to seeing humanity changing. Just generally speaking, the people who are in these gyms, and you guys know it, you see it, they're awesome people. Like, not that there's not awesome people in other places, but it's really cool how condensed it is and how there's something about someone. It says a lot about their character, right? When they can, when they show up, when someone shows up that consistently and puts in that work and suffers so that they can become more resilient, and they're doing that with other people, there's something special about that person. So I knew if I could get this man and people like him in front of people within the fitness circle, that it would have, I had this vision that it would just one day, like, could you imagine, like, if one day I was, and my hope was to always have these events on the same day globally, so that, because the only way you can explain it too is if you're like, you have to be part of it, you have to be there. And I'm sure you feel some of it with just me talking about him, but imagine, actually getting to interact with another human like this. It really, like, it's touching. So everyone is vibrating in that way when we have our events, these row raisers, right? Everybody is getting to feel the love that James gives, and they're able to embody it and recreate it. And so you have, a group of 200-300 people all vibrating similarly. And imagine if that's happening worldwide, globally. Like, what if I had all these row raisers going on all across the world, hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people all feeling what we were feeling at the same time? I'm like, this could really change some shit. Like, if that many people felt that way at the same time globally, like, just could you imagine what would happen if everybody at the exact same time on Earth, like, just treated each other the way James treats others? Like, what if we all just turned to each other and just started hugging each other and we're like, hi? Like, granted, that could be weird in some circumstances, but like,
I'm not a hugger, Sam. I'm not a hugger.
If it was with and this guy, again, this dude will change your heart. This dude will change you. That's all I have to say about him, man. And he'll make you a hugger. So imagine if everyone worldwide had their heart changed like that. And that's what I saw in James, and why we started what we do. And we travel across the country, hosting these row raiser events, just rowing a marathon. It's very simple. I wanted it to be simple. It's something most of our athletes with Down syndrome do very, very well. They enjoy it. And it's kind of a slow paced event, so that you're kind of forced to interacting with some of these athletes. And we try to get every group, it's a group of 10 on a rower, and we try to get at least each group to have a special needs athlete on their team that finishes maybe the last 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 meters on the row. And then we all like freak out and celebrate when they finish it, and makes them feel like they're the coolest person ever. And again, it's a very touching event. Like I cry. I've done probably more than six. I've done, because I've traveled for them too, but we've done like 6 at our location. And there's tears everywhere. Like you're going to have a really difficult time leaving one of the events and not weeping, because you're so inspired, and you feel it. It's like, it's a tangible thing. You feel it like vibrating in your heart, and you're like, it will change you.
Yeah, Sam, I think let's talk a little bit more about how maybe people can get a little more involved with something like that. But before that, because what you just spoke about is, we can see it and we can feel it from you, that it's such a big dream. It's such a big passion for you. And, you mentioned that experience where, that you had with James that changed you, that led to the nonprofit, that led to all these things. But because I'm very curious, I want to try to dig into this a little bit deeper, because it seems almost meant to be that James kind of coincidentally fell into your lap. And when that happened, when something like that happened, the way that you handled that situation, you kind of took him in and took him under your wing. And so it makes me wonder if there's something in your life that happened to you. Like you said, you have this long list of things that you've overcome in your life, certain things that have happened, that things haven't come easy. You've had to overcome them. Were there one or two of those things that happened to you when you were a kid, were you picked on when you were a kid, or anything like that, that you think opened you up, made you more prone to accepting someone like James and taking it as far as you have?
That is a great question. I get that quite often. And when I think about it, probably, yeah. I got bullied like horrifically in high school. High school was very rough for me. Even as someone who you mentioned really kind things at the beginning, good looking, athletic, like I had a great family, like things were going really good for me. And it was still like I was at like the very bottom that you can get, like not like where I never did anything to like actually like take my own life or anything, but I thought very regularly about how pleasant it would be if I wasn't alive. So yeah, really crappy high school time. But to answer the question, I never really had, I didn't think so, at least, like some heart for, people with special needs or anything. My initial kind of reason that we made that collision with him is we kind of had like a business meeting talking about what would happen if somebody weighed 500 pounds came into Q-Town. Would we be able to service them? Like, would we be able to prescribe them with something that was helpful and doable? And at that time, our answer was no. We were only good at coaching people who were generally physically fit and knew what they were, kind of had some athletic background for the most part. Like we had some, older people join and such, and we worked with some people, but we were just doing the easy stuff, man. And we really wanted to, we want to help people. We want to make change. And so that would mean that we would have to work with the majority of people, which means they aren't generally physically fit and have some sort of athletic background. We're talking 1% of people are like that, are generally fit and played sports. The rest of people are out of shape, don't have an athletic background, maybe, and I started throwing out other scenarios, like what if they were missing a leg? What if they were paralyzed? What if, I just started throwing out all these situations at our staff, and we're like, we need to start getting people like this in here so that we know how to handle it. And so we know how to treat them. So we started like recruiting people who were paralyzed. We recruited people who, we got a couple people who were paralyzed. We got a couple people who were maybe missing limbs. We got some people who were morbidly obese, like bound to a wheelchair pretty much. So we wanted to use these people, and we let them know that we don't really know what we're doing, but we want to learn. Mm-hmm. And that's when we kind of started, and then it led to, what would happen if someone came in and they had a learning disability, or if they were visually impaired, or they couldn't hear, or they had Down syndrome. Like, that's what got all this kind of starting, and that's what led us to meeting James. And like I said, maybe there were some life experiences that made me a little bit more comfortable. I don't know, but I oh shoot. Like, the first time I met James, I was like, hi, my name is Sam. And then you hear he's like, hey, I'm James. And you're like, okay, I need to just treat you like a normal person.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what I was doing. I don't know, like maybe Chad, but I don't personally think that I had like this huge heart that was like just ready for James. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was. It was, like I said, it was more, I was just thinking we had a void within our business that if someone came in that needed special treatment, we wouldn't be able to treat them. And I wanted to make sure that wasn't the case. So,
well, Sam, I mean, certainly the initial thought that you had there is extra special. I mean, I think a lot of gyms do think about that, and they do try to prepare for it as much as possible. But, a lot of gyms maybe haven't reached the point to where they've even thought about it yet. And so hopefully that will, ignite that thought in some gyms out there to head in that direction. And, there's the adaptive seminar, and we at Power Monkey Camp, we've recently added the adaptive seminar there as well. And that's all really good information to help, coaches and owners to be able to be more prepared for that. But also just, I think it's important for general members as well to at least understand that, they shouldn't really be treated any differently. They should be treated as a normal human being. They have special circumstances, but everyone wants to be treated normal, right? Everyone wants to be seen as normal, and no special treatment, so to speak. So it was a great initial thought, if nothing else, and cool how far you've taken it. And that being said, let's talk a little bit more now about how someone could get involved in one of the events that you're talking about. And a part of that too is that, do you even have anything like that on the schedule with everything that's going on?
Yeah. So this year's been a huge bummer for the foundation. It seems as if some are still going on, and we try to share those events. We have one that's coming. I just posted on it today. That's coming up, and I think it's in Wisconsin. So I mean, they're still happening, but not nearly as much as we would normally get to do. And so it's definitely kind of a bummer for the foundation this year. Luckily, we've done pretty well in the past, so we still have a good amount of money that we can use for people with special needs. So basically, what our money goes to is just being able to support having a family member with a special need is it is a very special circumstance, man. Like, it's it's hard. It is. It's hard. I think it's okay to say that it is. It's not. You got a lot on your hands. So sometimes that kind of really stretches things out for families and makes it maybe a little bit more difficult to make as much money as they would need to be able to. And these programs for, if you have special needs, like, it is not cheap to get your child in a special needs program. It is very, very, very expensive. So CrossFit, in my opinion, is very, very affordable. So we're able to help families be able to get into gyms. We help groups. We do a lot of things. We will support entire teams and get like jerseys for Special Olympic events, and we do powerlifting stuff. We don't really like just do one thing with the money. Like, the money all goes to just a program for individuals with special needs to where they can get in the gym. It's the big reason we started the foundation too is so we could do whatever we wanted with the money, and we could give it to people who needed it the most. For the longest time, we just gave it to Special Olympics. We were giving hundreds and thousands of dollars away to Special Olympics, and we never really saw any change like in our direct community or the surrounding areas. So we're like, why don't we just do this on our own and put the money where, since we weren't getting to really see it, a lot of it was probably going to like Chicago, and some of it was probably going to a lot of salaries. We don't pay ourselves for the work that we do from our foundation. And a lot of like, there's a lot of people on staff with like Special Olympics, and we never really, all that really matters is we never really got to see anything happening in our area for the individuals with special needs. So we wanted to see stuff happening with the money that we were raising. We're raising hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we wanted to see stuff happen. So that's why we started it, so that we could watch things actually happen and know that things were happening. And you need jerseys for your power or singlets for your powerlifting team. Let us cover that. This people can basically sign. It's like a scholarship, if you will. Like, if people are wanting to find support for some sort of program or some sort of athlete to get into a gym or whatever it may be. So that's kind of like ish what we do. Like I said, we're not limited to anything. So it keeps growing what we're doing and what we're able to do for people. And it's not just limited to maybe stuff just gym related. So wellness is it's a broad thing. So really just anything that we can do to help anyone with a special need is who we're doing things for, and we'll do whatever we need to do to help, especially if it costs money. So, but if anyone's ever interested in getting involved with it, even though this year looks a little funky and we got all this social distancing stuff going on, and it's looking like we're even going to have trouble maybe hosting here in Illinois. Maybe I'll go over to Missouri, free state right now. That's probably what I'll end up doing. I'll probably end up hosting a handful of them in Missouri. Now, granted, there's a lot of with Down syndrome, they do struggle with lowered immune systems. So I might have to abide by some social distancing for their safety. That might, I haven't thought about it too much, just because we just keep getting hit, down further and further and further. And you're like, oh, like, when's it going to stop? And you're like, just hoping that it's going to stop, and it's not stopping. So, since it's not stopping, we're like, what's the point of continuing to plan for all these events that are most likely, just going to get shut down. So, it's 2020 for most people has been a wash. So
absolutely. And it's only halfway through. So we can only go up from here, hopefully.
Yeah. Like, we're focused on like 2021. Like, we're pretty much out, at least until the election. which I would imagine some things for some reason would start settling down a bit. We're thinking, after November, December, hopefully just the new year, January 1, we're hoping things will have some sort of consistency to where we can plan our travel, and hopefully we can travel. Hopefully we don't have to have certain microchips or anything to get us into different countries or something like that. Or hopefully January 1 we can get back to normal. I can compete. I can do row raisers and work on the non-for-profit. I can travel and do seminars. But if not, we got our van, and we'll go camping. Things are going to continue to shut down, and that's what we did the first time. We just went camping.
Well, before we start to finish up here, Sam, I did have a question about that part of it when you mentioned competing. Are you still, baby coming, all of these challenges that are kind of not only being thrown at you as an athlete and you and your community with pandemic, but then also the things kind of in flux right now and seemingly changing by the day within the CrossFit headquarters scene. Are you continuing to try to compete as an athlete? Are you anticipating trying to compete as a team? What's your goal as an athlete going into 2021?
Yeah, I really enjoy the team stuff. I had a goal. It was a goal of mine to make it back before I turned 35, before I was a master. So I really want to try to qualify again. Even if I don't, ultimately, I love competing. I try to make sure I sit down with myself and do a just kind of review of the year, and I kind of ask myself, is this something that is still bringing joy to me and allowing me to do good works, and usually the answer at the end of every year is yeah, I still really enjoy competing, and as long as I can be fairly competitive and qualify for things, I think you will always see me competing. I had plans this year on doing, I think it was a bunch of the Loudon Live events, the Mayan, the one in Spain, the one in California, and the Granite Games. Awesome. So I had plans on competing this year. I'm actually competing in a couple weeks over in Missouri. What do you know? It's just a little local competition. I'm going with one of my members. So I figured until it gets going again, there's plenty of little mini comps that go on over in Missouri, and I'll just go over with my members will get a hoot out of.
Can you imagine that? Chad, can you imagine going to a local competition and being like, yeah, it's a partner event. It's going to be me and Sam Dancer. Wait, how did this happen?
Well, let me just say, Sam would not want me on his team. I can snatch and clean and jerk, but that's about it, Sam.
We could go scaled if you want, Chad.
There you go. Let's do that. But hey, that being said, I do have a question about competition that I was curious about, because I did see that you've done a lot of Tough Mudders. Obviously, you played some college football as well. If you had the choice at this point in your life, Tough Mudder, CrossFit Games, CrossFit Regionals, or to play a college football game, which one would it be?
I could do one.
Just pick one. What would you most enjoy right now at this time in your life?
Probably regionals.
Really? Why?
Yeah, they're just, I don't know. It's got a different vibe to it than the games.
It's like Olympic trials. It's like Olympic trials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I don't know. By the time it gets to the games, I feel like so many people are just happy to be there.
Yeah.
And it's such a grueling weekend and not that you don't want to be competitive or anything. There's just I don't know. It just seems, in my opinion, it seems a little bit more, it's just different. And there's something I really enjoyed about regionals that was I don't know, trying to peak and you get one shot and just I kind of miss that. And that's, and maybe because it's gone too, makes me want to makes me want to do it. But now that I'm starting to think about it, I would love to know how I would be at football with this
Sure.
frame. When I played college football, I weighed 275 pounds, and I wasn't nearly I was in great shape when I played. I was the strongest, one of the fastest, most agile. Like I got all the awards in the weight room and stuff, and for all of our like agility trainings and all that, and was like, so had a lot of that, but and I was way stronger then, but I feel like I would be a little bit better now at football. It would be a position change for sure. Maybe I could still.
What did you play? I
was basically a glorified guard. I was a fullback, and I went in as a linebacker. And I think I'd have a really fun time playing safety right now, or being a running back. Yeah, I'm not. I don't know, but I'm not sure if I could hang with those boys anymore. Like, it's a different breed. I don't think CrossFitters are like really understand how huge and strong football players are.
Well, I mean, I was going to ask you about like feats of strength, because obviously you're known for your incredible feats of strength. And I don't know if you guys saw yesterday, but
Adam Klink.
An incredible feat of strength that happened yesterday with Adam Klink pulling off this triple that, I mean, to me seems impossible, right? He ran a sub 5-minute mile. He back squatted 500 pounds, and he did 50 unbroken pull-ups in one day. One day.
So
I mean,
cool.
It's the kind of thing that just like blows your mind. Like one of those things would be incredible. To do them all simultaneously in one body.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Do you think we'll see, kind of like when the first, 4-minute mile was broken?
Yeah.
You started to see it happen actually.
Right.
Like once it was actually introduced into the minds of
It'll happen.
all people, like
It'll
became
happen.
possible. So I'm curious if we'll start seeing more athletes throw up the 555.
But any goals of yours to try to pull that off?
I'll tell you what, it definitely was very inspiring. And I messaged him immediately, and I was like, bro, props. So it's been in the back of my mind for a while. I have the squat, no problem. I've ran some 520, 530 miles at my best, but that's really hucking it for me. I'm a big boy.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of CrossFit Games athletes that I think are my size. I'm definitely on the larger end for the people who've made it to the games, I think. And it might be one, if I ever wanted to do it, I might have to make like a tad bit of a cut or something like that in my weight. But even then, still, I weigh like 230, 235. I'd feel pretty confident running like a 540 mile right now.
That's incredible. That's just absurd.
Yeah,
I don't think people really have an appreciation until you try to run a 5-minute mile and are like, all right, this is just ridiculous. This is insane. This pace is unheard of.
When you really think about it,
I'm more of a distance guy, actually, even though
amazing.
Like people don't know that because from my games performance in 2016, but I had a fractured fibula, so like I couldn't really run. But I'm a pretty good distance runner.
So to kind of piggyback on what we were talking about, the 5-minute mile, the 500-pound back squat, and what is it, 50 pull-ups, those three things, all in one day, quite the fitness feat. For you personally, though, being the incredible strength athlete that you are, you talked about how strong you were in college and all these things. What is the strength feat that you're most proud of through college, through CrossFit, your entire athletic career?
Man, that's tough. Gosh, in college, I was back squatting over 700 pounds. I think like that to me right now, like it blows my mind. Like my bench, I was bench pressing like near 500 pounds when I was in high school. That blows my mind. I don't get how I could do that. I did 45 reps at 225 in college.
Wow.
Those things freak me out. Like I do not understand like how that was possible for me to do it.
I would have like won the combine, man. I don't think most guys at the combine come even close to 45 reps.
And I did a single arm power clean with 275 a while back. That's pretty, that kind of, whenever I grab a bar and I like just think about it and just like kind of grab it and feel that weight in my hands, I'm like, how did I do that?
Yeah.
I love that, man. You're a monster.
Yeah, what we did when we were younger, I mean, I have to train really hard to deadlift 195 kilos right now. That's 429. Like I have to put some work into it over the course of many months. And to think that I clean and jerked that before, I mean, like you said, when you think back on things that we did back in our heyday, it's really incredible. It's like, man, look, I don't even have the desire to want to clean and jerk that at this point in my life. I don't even want to try to do that anymore.
True, dude.
I love that. Well, a couple last questions here, Sam. First one is a simple one, but an important one for us. We always ask our guests this one, and we want to kind of get you on the books. What do you prefer as a sport or discipline, gymnastics or weightlifting? And I think I already know the answer, but I want to hear from you.
You might be surprised. Gymnastics.
Unbelievable.
You snuck one
Unbelievable.
I'm a big part of my seminar is coaching the handstand. I use it as the really the foundation of a lot of my teachings. So I'm really big on handstands and a lot of pulling and so yeah, I think I might have shocked.
Smart man.
Shocking.
Smart man.
As much as I hate that, Sam, I mean, I really can't fault you too much. That gymnastics is awesome. Gymnastics is cool. I just wish that more people would pick weightlifting on the podcast here, Dave. I mean, you're just way too far ahead of me. Although I did have a good streak of 3 or 4 in a row.
You had a good run the last 3 in a row.
Yeah.
So appreciate that, Sam. Next question. Is there anyone that you think would be a good fit to have on our podcast? Anybody you'd love to see that we bring on here as a guest?
Wow. That's a great question. Maybe just for like the sake of, for what I think is in real big need right now and just within wellness and but maybe someone with like women's health or something like that. I've been reading all these books, dude, and I just like, I'm learning so much and so much of it just isn't talked about. And I'm not even speaking just specifically to like giving birth, which I think people are totally not educated about. I'm again getting my mind blown right now. Things I had no idea about, and Jenny definitely didn't know. So I might have to like I follow some women online, or I don't know if you've had Emily Abbott on before, but
we have not.
She's a good friend of mine. She is really passionate. She's going to school for acupuncture right now and is really passionate about women's health. Could be fun to have on too. Obviously, she's got some really unique history within the sport. But I spent a month with her in the desert during the quarantine. We had a great time. But I don't know that I have an actual specific name for women's health. I might have to like get online and kind of see some of the ladies that I follow. But that's what kind of comes to mind, just to have a really cool lady come on and just talk women's health.
Awesome. And Emily's a good suggestion too. Yeah, well, I was going to say, we didn't have enough time to get and speak with Jen, too, because she's your obvious other half, and we have some amazing stories about her when you guys came to camp. We'll have to probably hold that off for another time when we can get you both on, and maybe even have the little one around, too, once the baby's born.
Yeah, maybe have her on. She's a smart lady. She's a cool chick, so she'd be a good one, too. I should have said her first.
Hey, we can cut it out just in case you listen to this. We'll cut it out and make it sound like you pointed at her first. But last official question here, and it's kind of a two-parter. But are you more likely to read a book, to watch a movie, watch a documentary, or watch a TV series? And within that category that you choose, do you have a recommendation?
Read a book, 100%. We try not to do much TV in this house. Not that we don't allow a miniature binge here and there on Netflix or watch a documentary. I don't want to make it seem like but we definitely don't have any cable television in the house. But we love reading. Right now I just finished The Conscious Parent, and it's been one of the greatest relationship books I've ever read. And just because it's all putting it in the perspective of how you speak to a child, and then you start thinking about how you speak to your significant other, and you're like, whoa, I'm messing up. So that one kind of hit me really hard. I'm like, wow, I really got to change my language and how I speak to my wife, even though this book is talking about how I would speak to my child. So that was really powerful. My favorite all-time book ever is How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy by Paul Chek. I read it about 13 years ago. I keep it out all the time. It's not one of those that goes back in the bookshelf. I reference it all the time. Mm-hmm. I'm constantly sending pictures to people of excerpts through that and graphs through that. It's what I tell people to read if they're trying to do anything with regards to feeling better or treating something. And then I got one more for you, The Oxygen Advantage. Those are like my top three books right now. So
that one's on the list too, because breathing rhythms and nose breathing has become such a hot topic in the last couple of weeks, and I know it's something that you posted on fairly recently, and that's probably a time for another subject, but that specific book seems to be one on a lot of people's reading list right now.
There's another one out there, but it honestly, it doesn't matter. Like once you I feel like, in my opinion, you read one, you really get the essence of what is important. And there's some really cool drills and breathing techniques that you can use to really, really, really increase performance. I mean, it is freaky how you can get with some of these breathing drills. If you guys are familiar with EPO, some of the stuff that Lance Armstrong was doping with during the Tour de France, you can have very large natural increases of your EPO production. And dude, it's one of the greatest performance enhancing tools I have ever come across in my life. Natural performance enhancing tools I've ever come across in my life. So it's completely changed my fitness, and it's crazy how much fitter you can get and healthier, and how much better you can feel with a little nose breathing.
Awesome. Well, hey man, we really appreciate those recommendations. Always glad to get the listeners some recommendations like that. And those seem like very good ones. None of them of which I've read, so I need to look into those myself for sure. But thank you for your passion as well. It's, as you said, palpable earlier. It's absolutely palpable. It's infectious, and I appreciate it. And thank you once again for being on it. It's been a pleasure. Do you have any parting words?
I love you guys, and I'm just incredibly grateful and honored that you'd think to have me on your show. And just to anyone listening, I really encourage you to check out any of those books. They will change your life. And I'm just, like you kind of talked about earlier, Chad, it's just so cool to anyone who's listening to this. Thank you for tuning in. It blows my mind, and we appreciate your time.
Yep, absolutely. And I'll piggyback on that and say we do absolutely appreciate you guys listening in. Also, be sure to head over to PowerMonkeyFitness.com for services and upcoming events. We do still have Power Monkey Camp planned for late September, early October. So check that out. Please come see us. We'd love to see you there as well. Also, check out our Instagram pages for regular teaching and technical content at Power Monkey Fitness, at Dave Durante, and at Ollie Chad. On behalf of Power Monkey Fitness, we're your host. I'm Chad Vaughn with Dave Durante. And until next time, thank you all for listening.